Learn how to give your kitchen a simple, inexpensive, yet dramatic transformation. Today, we'll clean and repaint old laminate cabinets and add a hand-painted decorative finish on the doors to pull the whole room together.
I guess we dirtied that window up enough.
When you get the little nose triangle on there, I hate that. We've washed ashore in Longport, New Jersey, a beautiful seaside community.
Amazingly big door, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's called the Raymond Burr door.
Well, I heard he and Wells used to party here.
Well, Raymond Burr went down with the ship, as he often did. But, you know, we're here in Longport. It's a beautiful 100-year-old cottage called the Anne Hathaway Cottage, except it's bigger than a cottage I've ever seen.
And we're going to be doing some kitchen work today in the kitchen that had a makeover about 40 years ago. And, you know, one of the easiest ways to transform your kitchen is to do something with the cabinets.
So true, so true. You can do it a lot of ways. You can reface something.
Refacing, you take the...
I need that, so do you.
We both could use it. You take the old door, you take the doors off, you put on new wood around the surrounds of the carcass, and then you put new doors on that you made.
We're not going to do that. Sounds too hard.
No.
Or you can refinish.
Well, if they're wood, you can refinish them. You can strip them down with a chemical remover, wash them down and stain them and put a new lacquer or
But we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that either because the cabinets that are in here are made of a laminate.
Right, and there's not much you can do to that except put a beautiful decorative mural over top.
That's what we're going to do.
His speciality.
We're going to take the cabinet doors down, and we're going to paint the carcasses, paint the cabinet doors, and we're going to paint something on it that you'll see.
A fanciful design which will reveal itself in time.
Yes, it's okay.
Is she okay?
She's okay, but let's finish up. I can put her down.
I think she needs a scrubbing and an eating.
You know, this house is over 100 years old.
The Anne Hathaway house, but the kitchen inside is more like the Jane Hathaway kitchen. I think she liked Jethrine better.
But you know,
that was renovated about 40 years ago.
About 40 years ago, they came in and they probably took out what may have been nice old wood cabinets, and they put in laminate.
And they also put in this lovely vine motif wallpaper that we can't take down, so we're going to work off of that when we do the treatment for the cabinet fronts.
Now we have new hardware coming. We'll replace this hardware. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take some of the green color out of the vine motif, which we have here, and we're going to paint the actual carcass of the cabinets around here. And the doors will be white with the vine motif, as Ed said.
It will be an artistic endeavor, readily accessible to all.
I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah. I'm going to take care of the little ones. All right, well, we want to protect everything from the flying paint that would happen if we weren't as careful as we were going to be, right?
Carefulness is always good.
Yes. A tarp.
Here's a tarp. You could buy paper tarps like this. You could buy plastic tarp, whichever you like. Now, we got hardware here that we're going to be using.
Yes, we'll reuse the hinges. We're replacing the handles.
Take off this stuff, too, because we're going to paint the edges of the doors. Not going to paint the inside of the doors.
That would be madness.
Now, we took the doors off and I numbered. Here, starting with a 1. See, this is number 1, left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the drawer front's the same thing.
Drawer front starting with 1 again. I'll even do mine in Cyrillic.
Now, some may say, why did we use a 1 for the drawer fronts? Well, you can't mistake this drawer front for this door, right?
Well,
even though they're both 1.
I'm really nearsighted, and sometimes...
you would hang this as the door.
It's possible.
Okay. So,
like that.
Yeah, that looks good.
And of course, we've also covered all the glasses and dishes and victuals with paper towels, so even as careful as we are, we won't...
Now that we have it numbered, we're going to clean down all the grease and grime. We're going to use some paint thinner.
Right.
We're going to put on some rubber gloves, because it's important to have rubber gloves, otherwise your hands get all...
Ward, weren't you a little hard on the boys last night?
Now let's take
rags,
some paint thinner, and you want to wipe. Now what this is going to do, before we sand, we're going to clean this down to get all the dirt off of it. Because there's a lot of fingerprint dirt and grease.
And especially in kitchens with airborne dirt is the word of the day. Everything floating up from the oven and from the frying pans over years and years. Before you do anything to the fronts of cabinets, especially in the kitchen, do this cleaning.
And we clean the carcass in the same way. All surfaces that are going to be painted must be clean. Wow, we really cleaned these cabinets good, didn't we?
Yeah, the sponsors called. They didn't want all the product placements we were trying to do.
No, you know what happened? We had the paper towels covering the stuff, which is great. Only thing is when you start, we figured if you start sanding, you're going to start pulling out all the paper towels, and then you got to tape the paper towels. And why do that? spend a little extra time, get everything out of the cabinet. It'll be safer.
We've got hundreds of helpers there, and they're each holding a plate right now. A couple of other things we've done. Obviously, we've opened all the windows, and you need a lot of ventilation when you're using any kind of solvents, as we already have.
Especially paint thinner.
And we also have a bucket of water, and all those rags that we used with the paint thinner are in there. If not, they may spontaneously combust and
singe the nose hairs.
Yes. Now, here's what we'll be sanding with. 80 grit sandpaper.
Now, when you sand like this, you create a nice dust, and you got a nice rough area for the new primer that's going to go on.
And that dust collected in a bowl, good for cutlets.
Now, it's important to get all areas. What we're going to paint is this edge. We're going to paint the inner edge. We're not worrying about in here.
There's a chemical.
Look, this is a tack rag.
In one hand, she held aloft Excalibur. In the other, a tack rag.
Tack rag. And when somebody wrote, and they wanted to know, a lot of people want to know what the tack rag makes it tacky. What makes it tacky?
Well, it's a combination of things. Some say it's shellac, but it's ethereal is what it is.
Well, shellac, you can make a tack rag with shellac, but actually it's impregnated with a neoprene kind of sticky stuff that doesn't remain sticky.
And what it does is it cleans off the sanding dust that we just sanded.
And then we're going to wash down with some denatured alcohol. And this will get any traces of the
tack rag,
paint thinner that we used earlier to degrease. And this will give a nice surface.
So in other words, you clean off stuff, and then you clean off the cleaner, and then you clean off the thing that cleaned off the cleaner.
Yeah.
Roll tape.
Tape.
Before you paint, you got to tape off the parts you don't want the paint to go onto. And that would be all the perimeters right inside the trim.
I got some 2-inch tape here. I'm going to lay it down just to the inside, close to the front edge.
Yeah. Now, since we're going to be going down the stiles here, we don't want paint on the existing shelves, which we could take out. But we're
just
showing you how to do this if you have shelves that you can't take out. That's all you need to do.
So obviously, we're taping these edges here because when you get in here with a brush or a roller, for instance, you don't want to get paint on that edge.
Isn't this the cutest thing you ever saw? It's a mini roller. Mini roller.
Mini roller. I'm going to put, starting paint, I put the apron on.
Oh,
this is my apron.
It's really nice.
See?
And we're going to do this in 2 steps. Joe got a brush.
I have a China bristle brush, which is very good for oil paints. You shouldn't use China bristle for latex because you can't clean it right. And you don't use nylon brushes for oil paint because...
Never the twain shall meet. See this? We're not going to use this. I don't know why it's here.
Well, to show the difference. We're going to use this for the doors.
Bigger,
right.
Smaller.
Because you don't want to use a big roller for this. Although if this is all you have, you could use it.
Sure.
So we take the primer. It's an oil-based primer.
And if you have one of these but a full-size roller, they're cardboard, just cut it with a saw.
This is an oil-based
white primer.
I'm going to come down here. I'm going to paint this
I want you to pay special close attention to what he's doing with his left hand.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm concentrating on all of these small areas, and Ed will come around with the roller, and we'll get the edges.
And I'll get the flats.
So after I do this, you can go...
That's okay. You need to practice. You'll be doing this for a living soon enough. How easy, how lovely.
Now, of course, everything we're doing here to these upper cabinets will be done to the lower cabinets and the other cabinets on the other side of the room that you can't see.
We'll be right back. It's a beautiful day down by the seaside.
Here we are cleaning with the paint thinner the doors. Cleaning with the paint thinner the doors.
Which is the Jewish way of saying cleaning the doors with the paint thinner.
There you go.
Where did you get my mother's syntax from?
I'm hanging around your mom too much.
You know, I invited her over for dinner, and I said, she brought a cake, and I said, did you mix and make this? She said, why should I mix and make when you can buy and bring?
Right.
That's how she talks.
Now, I have some paint thinner on this rag, and there's some schmutz on here. And I'm taking a razor blade.
We're going to bar mitzvah you very soon.
And I'm going to scrape with this razor blade and get this, because you don't want this on here. I don't even know what it is, to tell you the truth.
It could be a jigalach, which is a bug, a little bug.
It's some adhesive. Something was adhered to this. Now I'm going to sand. and I'm going to go around in circles rather than going like this, which is what you would think you would have to do. I'm going to put the whole hand on the paper. I'm going to get down like this, and I'm going to go in circles. I'll put this down here.
And now I'll tack rag, which of course gets up all the sanding residue.
It sure do.
And then you'll give me the alcohol.
And we got alcohol.
To clean up the tack rag residue. Look, a roller and a trough of paint.
But this paint is kind of thick, and what happens is it gets real textured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin it a little bit with some paint thinner.
Which is what it's used for.
Whoa, see how that flow just goes, phew, because there's a nice wind here. This is a 1/4-inch nap roller, and the best rollers to get, if you can find them, are mohair rollers. You know what mohair is?
What?
That's what they find in the Three Stooges drain.
Every year we say that one.
And the reason for thinning the paint down is so the paint flows out.
It flows out away. It doesn't gunk up, especially outside when you've got a lot of weather conditions happening, especially if it's moist. Here, it might clump up a little, so you're going to have to thin it out. Yowza.
These are all painted. We've been letting them dry, and they should be dry pretty soon. We'll be able to get to the top coat and then the decorative painting.
Oh,
hello there.
We're sanding again with 220 extra fine paper because it's already been painted, so you don't have to use a rough grit.
We let this primer dry for 6 hours, and now we're sanding it down. And before we apply our paint, and the paint we're going to apply is a latex color that we mixed, where we pulled out of the vine motif. We took the darker color, and we're going to use that for the cabinets. Now, some people say, you are putting a latex over top of an oil? Well, you can do that.
They wouldn't say it that way.
It's not good. No, Ed Norton would say it that way. But you can't put, it's not good to put a oil over top of a latex primer, but you could put a latex primer.
We would never do that.
A latex paint over an oil, right.
Okay, now why are we sanding? To give it a tooth yet, yes, but also, no matter how carefully you paint, there could be some air bubbles and some slight bits of airborne dirt and dust, and that's what we're getting now.
Look, tack rag time.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. Tack rags, you know, they stay wet for a long time or sticky, so take a large mayonnaise jar with a top and put this in there.
Take the mayonnaise out first.
And cap it up, and, you know, it stays tacky for a long time. Don't throw them out. And now we're going to paint with the paint. This is a latex paint, and we picked up from the paint store a green that was colored similar to the darkest color in the vine motif.
We're picking up a color.
See?
We're distributing that color.
And I'm going to paint in the quarters.
It's latex paint. It dries quickly, and it's washable with soap and water, isn't it?
I'll paint the quarters.
Hey, look, you got some paint over here.
Well, you can roll in there too. And with paint like this, because it's a dark paint, and you're going over a light color, namely white, you may need 2 coats.
I think you will need 2 coats.
I'm using a nylon brush here. Nylon brushes are good for latex paint, not for oil paint.
We took this swatch to the paint store, and we said, well, these are 2 colors that we want to carry over. So what we've done with the background of the cabinet doors is we picked up the white or the off-white of the background of this, and we're also carrying the green color, not only in our decorative painting that we'll be doing a little later, but we're also doing that on the carcasses of the cabinets.
And just finishing up, but I got these are drawers, or drawer faces, but they don't open.
Well, it's because it's under the sink and they don't open there, because all you could do is reach in and grab pipe.
Paint under here. Sanding the primer down with a 220, it's a 220 grit. See, it says very fine.
After sanding with the fine paper, you tack rag, and then you wipe again with a cloth and the alcohol.
Here's the paint, and I put the paint in here, and it was kind of thick, and I just diluted it with a little bit of water just to give it a thinner consistency.
Remember, you don't need paint thinner for latex paint because it's water soluble. You can add water to thin it.
If you add paint thinner to latex paint, it'll just lay on the top.
It'll be like a Pousse Cafe, but don't drink any of it. Okay, can I pull the shade?
You can pull anything you want around here. It's a regular joint, yeah? The Bank Dick, W.C. Fields.
The Black Poussier Cafe.
Now we take this and we roll it on. And this is the finished coat. So what I do is I just let these set up for about 10 or 15 minutes and then take them off and stand them vertically to dry.
Don't move. We'll be right back.
Hey, where am I going to put this plant?
Put it in this vase.
Hey, welcome back.
They came back. Oh, I'm always surprised.
You look like Lawton there in the Hunchback.
I wouldn't come back. Hey.
So we've got all the paint that's dried, and now we're ready to lay on the vine motif.
And there's 3 ways, at least, that you could do something like this. You could do it freehand, and he can do it, but he just doesn't feel like it today. Or you can do a stencil, one of those cutouts of pictures of God knows what. You could
cut a hole and you just
spray paint or dab or roll something. We're not going to do anything like that. We're going to pay homage to our great postal system and all the people who are driven crazy by it.
See this? This is a stamp. It's got an ivy motif on it, 4 leaves, and it's a hard-pressed rubber with an embossed ivy print on it. And you can see I've already used it because I've done some tests.
He tried it.
And look,
you should see my cat. It's ridiculous.
Well, here's the ivy pattern.
And here's the acrylic paint. We're going to be okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right.
Here's the ivy pattern, so you can see.
This is bigger than this.
You're very astute.
So you calling me a stoop?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the pattern, and I could do this free-handed, but it's going to take an awful long time.
I could work my will on you if I wanted to, but guess what? I don't want to.
And this will serve just as well. And incorporating with this, I will use the green and some white paint to do shadows and highlights.
But how are you going to do the vines?
Well,
do you have a vine stamp?
I'm going to do those freehand.
Ah,
yeah.
And here's the paint that we are going to be using, acrylic paint in a squeeze tube. Buy it at an art supply store.
Art supply store. It's called Stamp Paint.
Alpine green and the mighty white.
These are the doors right here that we're doing now, right? So what I've drawn on here are the actual vines. The vines on here are going to be different. I'm not going to copy these, but I just want to show you what you have to do first because I'm making them all interconnect.
Right, even though there's going to be styles of the carcasses in between, they are going to, when the eye approaches them, look like a continuous, sinuous line.
Correct.
Let him do it.
Tarzan will be there. And this is the other side.
There's enough vines in here to make a Tarzan movie. Okay.
This is the other side of the room, which you'll see in the after shot. First, I'm going to use this green. I shook it up, and I'm just using a piece of plastic here.
It's like a Tupperware top as a palette. A clear acrylic is really good, or even a piece of glass, but we couldn't find one.
No, glass would be best, or a mirror. Can I get over here?
Oh, sure. I'm working left to right.
I'm going to go down the whole length, all right?
Notice he's not doing a studied line. He's doing a random line. We are copying nature. Nature is random. Just look at us.
We always say that. Now I'll come up here. Bring this around here.
You know, that really reminds me of what they took out of my uncle. All kinds of green entrails.
He had a vein.
He had a mighty vein.
The mighty vein.
I might have to do a lot of talking here because this man's been known to go into a trance.
I am a trance person. I am entranced. Now, we're going to, and magically, these will all interconnect. The drawers on the bottom, this will fall down over the drawers.
I'm pretending this is the Allegheny, while this, the Monongahela.
Now we take the stamp. You can go right to this.
Right.
Working.
Now, I know a lot of you people are out there saying, well, that's not really art. They're doing it with stamps. Well, I'll tell you, some of the greatest art on earth has been done by less than absolutely freehand means.
Now look.
Liechtenstein, for example.
I just put a little bit of water on here. Water is going to lubricate and thin down the paint. And I'm taking the stamp, and I'm just going to rub the paint on the stamp.
You can do it, too.
Or rub the stamp into the paint.
Practice on something.
Let's put a little bit of paint, more paint in there. Now, the whole idea with the stamp, anybody can do this stamp. Anybody.
Can I do some?
Except you.
I'm not going to do any.
No, the whole magic of this little stamp is, because there is 4 leaves on here, is knowing how to position the stamp.
This is just like the old show.
If you take the stamp and you just go like this, it's going to look crazy. It's going to look funky.
Right.
You got to use the stamp in this way. Now watch. Can you hold this down so it doesn't blow?
Yeah, no, it's going to blow, and I'm going to be green.
And the whole point, see this little notch here? There's a V notch there. That's your lineup. That's where the top of the vine is, or the edge of the vine. That's what these leaves are going to be affixed to. So I'm going to put this down. Pull it off. See that? Now I'll turn it upright. Another one. And what happens is the amount of ink you have on there denotes how
The incubus.
how dark an impression you get. And you can actually use these lighter spots in here
For highlights.
for highlights. Could you open the white paint up?
I can open the white paint.
And I take these brushes,
Where do you
of which
want
I
it?
have
Do
two.
you want it on a part of this?
Yeah, we'll squirt it over here. Okay, that's enough. And now some green.
Some green.
put
You're
some
going to
green.
let me do one soon, aren't
Yeah,
you?
but I wanna show them.
Because if we're telling everybody out there they can do it, they want to see me.
Well,
I know they
then
do.
You'll do one right now.
Okay.
Okay, now hold on. Let me show you something. Now let's do one right. See this notch right there?
Yeah, I see it. I was watching the show when you
I know,
did
but
that.
you got to put it on very gently.
Okay.
And then when you get it set down, you got to give it equal pressure all the way
Okay.
around.
Now, are we loaded up?
You're loaded.
Right like
Now you
this.
can put that down or you can put it up, facing up.
I'm going to put it down because
Okay.
it's already there.
Now, even pressure. Got to kind of work your fingers around it without moving it.
Oh, I can do that. That's one of my best
No,
things.
wait a minute. Just on the edge here,
On the edge.
right there.
Right.
Now pick it up. Yay! I'm working highlights and shadows together.
You're getting some drips.
You can do that.
Use the darker shade for your shadows, lighter for your highlights. Highlights should appear as if they come from a light source. A window, for example. Think Vermeer. Shadows complement those highlights.
When you're finished painting, allow the doors to dry for about an hour before you hang them.
I'll be right back after this. You want to sign it so I can go to the bathroom?
97.
Great, it's still
Stay
mine.
with us.
You can't sell it. Let's attach these door handles to the upper doors and then screw them in.
Perfect. And look here. There's a felt bumper right there. And we take the tape off there.
Oh, the sink we never did the dishes. All the cabinets are painted, all the doors and drawers are put back.
Lovely, lovely.
Aren't they beautiful? Here's the before. Oh, it's awful.
And look at its after.
Oh, it resonates and echoes off the wallpaper, so nice.
Thank you very much, ladies and germs.
Hey, we did it again.
So until next time,
I'm Ed Feldman.
and I'm Joe Lorario.
And remember, 1, 2, 3.
Home is
nice. Did you take off skin?
No, I'm just kidding.